All right, we're diving into a pretty radical idea today about how your mind really works. It's this journey that shows how the world around you. Yeah, I'm talking about everything from the art on a museum wall to the dynamics of a street gang, is literally building the architecture of your thoughts. I know. It sounds like the beginning of a really terrible joke. But seriously, the answer tells us something so fundamental about how your brain puts reality together and how that reality can be deliberately shaped, for better or for much, much worse. Okay, so to get to that answer, first we got to talk about your brain's hidden superpower. You see, your brain isn't just some passive camera, okay? It's not just recording the world as it happens. No, it's an active and totally relentless prediction machine. There's this really powerful idea in neuroscience. Sometimes they call it the Bayesian brain. And what it means is that your brain isn't just sitting back and waiting for things to happen. It's always a step ahead, using every single experience you've ever had to guess what's coming next, what you're about to see, hear, and feel. And this is the key. Your brain absolutely hates being wrong. Its main job, really, is to minimize what's called prediction error, that little jolt of surprise you feel when what actually happens doesn't match what you expected. Your whole perception of the world is just your brain's best shot at solving this never-ending puzzle. So how in the world does the brain get so good at this whole prediction game? Well, here's the thing. It doesn't do it alone, not even close. It gets a ton of help from the world around us, using things out there to help it think. And this is where this idea of scaffolding comes into play. Just think of a scaffold as any tool your environment gives you to help you think. A simple to-do list? That's a perfect example. You're outsourcing the mental heavy lifting of remembering onto a piece of paper, right? And that frees up your brain to actually get the stuff done. This really shows you just how much we lean on our surroundings. We're not these isolated minds just trapped inside our skulls. We are minds that actually extend out into our world, using it to build our thoughts, to manage our emotions, and to pull off things we just couldn't do on our own. And hey, this isn't just a human trick. A spider's web, it's not just a trap. You can think of it as an external part of its brain, a tool for hunting. A beaver's dam literally reshapes its entire universe to make life easier. And for us humans, well, our social groups are probably the most powerful scaffolds of all. But this is where the whole idea gets a lot more complicated. Because what happens when the very structures we're relying on to think are actually built to work against us? What happens when that scaffolding turns toxic? This is what some people call hostile scaffolding. It's when your environment is deliberately designed to mess with your best interests. The classic example is a casino. I mean, think about it. No clocks, the constant sounds, the maze-like layout, it's all meticulously engineered to build a state of mind that benefits the house, not you. So this chart compares two really powerful and really different examples of this hostile scaffolding. On one side, you've got the total physical immersion of a street gang. And on the other, you have the digital, you choose to be there, world of online incel communities. Both of them use scaffolding to warp a person's thinking, but they do it in very different ways. In a street gang, the scaffolding is just all-encompassing. The environment systematically cuts members off from any outside moral feedback. It literally replaces family and school, using its own symbols, its own rituals to build a new identity. An identity where violence against outsiders isn't just okay, it's expected, it's rewarded. Now, online incel communities, they create a different type of hostile scaffold. They can become what researchers call epistemic bunkers. They're not as physically immersive as a gang, sure, but these digital spaces can completely insulate members from any opposing viewpoints, creating this perfect echo chamber that just validates and deepens a really specific and harmful worldview. So here's the bottom line on this. Whether it's through total physical immersion or a digital echo chamber, these hostile environments make it profoundly difficult for people inside them to think clearly about right and wrong. They scaffold a mindset that severely limits a person's ability to make good choices for themselves. But look, scaffolding isn't always a bad thing. After that pretty dark turn, let's swing back to our original riddle. If an environment can be engineered to corrupt our thinking, could it also be engineered to elevate it? And that right there brings us back to the art museum. The exact same mechanism is at work. It's still our prediction-making brain interacting with some external structure. But here the goal is the complete opposite. So instead of hostile scaffolding, think of great art as artful scaffolding. Artists are masters of playing with your brain's predictions. They intentionally create things designed to trigger a prediction error, to surprise you, but in a very specific, controlled, and meaningful way. This basically breaks down how it works. When you look at a really challenging piece of art, your brain immediately tries to predict what it is, what it means. But the artist has deliberately broken the pattern. That moment of confusion, that, wait, what am I even looking at feeling? That is the prediction error. The pleasure you get comes from your brain working to update its model, to find a new meaning in what you're seeing. And we're not just talking about simple pleasure here. It's that deeper satisfaction of getting it, of understanding something new, of seeing the world from a slightly different angle. The artist scaffolds an experience that forces your brain to grow, and that feeling of growth is inherently rewarding. So, where does all this leave us? We've seen how the exact same predictive process in your brain can be hijacked by a hostile environment to corrupt you, or harnessed by an artist to enlighten you. The answer to our riddle, the thing that street gangs and art museums have in common, is us. It's our predictive brain, constantly leaning on the world to make sense of things. And what this reveals is a fundamental truth about being human. Our minds are both incredibly vulnerable and profoundly capable. And which one wins out depends almost entirely on the environments we choose to be in. So let's just quickly recap the big ideas here. First, remember your brain is a prediction machine, not a camera. Second, your environment is constantly providing scaffolds that literally build your mind. Third, those scaffolds can be hostile, leading you down a bad path, or they can be artful, leading to real insight. It all shows just how immense the power of the world around you is on the world inside your head. And that leaves us with one final and really crucial question to ask yourself. The people you talk to, the media you consume, the places you spend your time, all of these are the raw materials, the scaffolds you are using to build your mind every single day. The question isn't if your environment is shaping you. The only question is it scaffolding your best self?